Hello, thank you for clicking the link and welcome to the Warren Christmas Village channel. If this is your first time here, then welcome to the shenanigans. And if you're back for more punishment, then we must be doing something right. Today we're going to finish up the terrain piece that we started last tutorial. And we're going to prime it, paint it, finish the construction, and it's going to be good to go. Now I don't focus much on the painting. I focus more on the actual construction of the piece. So there you go. I hope you enjoy and stick around. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Today's tutorial was going to finish where we left off, which includes assembling our terrain pieces, priming it, painting it, and getting it ready for the tabletop. This is a great piece for D&D, Warhammer, Frostgrave, or Ghost Archipelago. The tools that we're going to need are your nails, something to score the metal and the resin with so that the glue will attach. You'll need some E6000, which is an industrial strength adhesive. Drag queens and performers, burlesque dancers, show people glue their rhinestones to their costumes with the E6000. Be careful, you need to ventilate your area with this, otherwise you can get a little buzz off of it. We're also going to need our piece of aquarium piece, which I'm presuming is some kind of resin or something, some kind of treated resin. And we're also going to need some masking tape. This is some old beat up tape. And then you're also gonna need a mug of some sort to put the columns in to stand up. You'll see in a moment. And we just happen to have some great mugs for sale at warrenchristmasvillage.com for $9, $9.99. They're print on demand, so we have these professionally printed with one of those print on demand services and shipped out. We've got a couple of designs that I had printed up and sent to me. This is our gingerbread gang, which we're going to kickstart these minis this year. We're a little late on that, but anyway, I digress. I need to adhere something solid to the base of these columns so that I can attach them to this piece of terrain. As you can see, I've carved out a section right here. And I need to attach this column to this. So what I'm going to do is glue on some nails, which is going to give me something to dig into the foam with. And then I'm going to glue the terrain piece in the holes with the nail as well as on top of the foam. Here's how I like to score my metal. Now keep in mind, this is probably not the best advice as I am a chaotic crafter. So this probably is not the safest way to do things, but this is how I like to score the metal for when I need to glue something with an E6000 or some kind of adhesive like that. It adheres better if the surface is not smooth. I've scored my tops of my nails. This nail is 1.5 inch long nail. And now I'm going to open up the E6000 and, oh, actually what I've got to do now is I've got to score the bottom of this. So let's figure out, I'm going to put these nails in here for placement. Okay, so I want these nails to be in the back of the terrain piece. The reason being the terrain comes in the front, and I think if I put it too close to the front it would risk breaking off and tearing out this work. So I'm going to put the terrain piece in the back, and then I'm going to put this on there and kind of measure up and see where they fit. And that is where I'm going to score. And I'm just going to score everything in that general area because whoops. So let's see. So that matches it pretty good. That's where the nails are going to go. And I just used a Sharpie. Hope everyone saw that. So the next step to do is, since we scored this section of the piece, now we have to score this section. And with that same X-Acto blade, I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to hold it down on a hard surface and just cut it up. This terrain piece is actually kind of gritty and hard already, so this probably isn't necessary, but it's recommended that you do that with this type of adhesive. So there you go. I have scored with my not so sharp blade anymore because I've dulled it. Now I'm going to do that to all 3 of my pieces. Here's how I like to attach the tape for this, the nail or the screw before we attach it to the terrain piece. Put the sticky side is facing down. Okay, that way the sticky side will attach to this part of the nail, and then when we do is we'll put the E6000 on this section. We'll put the E6000 on this section of the nail head, which we've already scratched up with the X-Acto blade. And then since the sticky side is down, when we attach it to the terrain piece, it will stay in place. See that right there? It will stay in place while the glue dries. Okay, so here's my nail. I've scratched up the tip. I've got the tape on, sticky side down. Now I just take my E6000. So I take my E6000, which is a common glue that is used by performers, drag queens, burlesque performers, all my show people, performer friends who use rhinestones, which is pretty much all of them, use this glue for their costumes. So next time you're at a show and you see those sparkly costumes dancers are wearing, someone probably in the costume department probably used some E6000. So be careful with this. Crack a window open. Okay, so whoops, not even really on camera. But there, I put that on there for just a little dab is all we need. Okay, and then I'm going to take my terrain piece and put this on the terrain piece. So see how the spikes sit nice and tight on these pieces with the tape technique? The glue is still wet. It has not even cured. It has not even been an hour. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Now you take your nail and with the piece of tape and the glue on it, and let's put it on the terrain piece. So just line this up where you want the nail or the spike or the screw to be, and then tightly push down with your tape. I'm using old beat up masking tape, which should not be a problem. We'll find out tomorrow if it's a problem taking off. But bam, bam, bam. 3 little spikes ready to go and stick into our terrain piece. Okay, now let's say we've got problem children, and I do have some of those on the other pieces. So we want to keep this in place even more. Just take another piece of tape and put that here. Okay, and then fold that over. And this will help keep it even in better position. And now we have these lovely aquarium terrain pieces that have hard metal spikes jutting out of them, which are going to go perfectly stabbed into the XPS foam. Now that we've got our pieces together and pulled together nice and tight, we need to put them upright for drying. And I like to use nothing fancier than a standard coffee mug. And then we're going to arrange those, put them upright, and I'll show you what that looks like. But I need Here are some close-up shots of the aquarium pieces with the nails being as they dry. And to hold them upright, I decided to use some Warhammer Christmas Village mugs. These are available on our store of $9.99. Every little bit helps support our channel and our crafting adventure. There you go. We've got a couple varieties of mugs to choose from, and they do a great job of keeping the terrain in place. And here's our progress so far on the terrain piece. I've gone ahead and carved in the weathered stonework on the top and the sides of the XPS foam, and I've gone ahead and attached the aquarium ornament. So the next step is I'm going to show everyone who's watching this tutorial how to attach this to this. Here are the tools for the next section of the tutorial. I've got the aquarium ornaments here with the nails that I've glued on with the E6000. I let the E6000 cure for 36 hours because after 24 hours I went to jiggle one of the nails and it popped off. So at 36 hours it seems to do pretty good. Once the pieces are dry, I delicately removed the masking tape. This is a really sticky, pliable adhesive, so I just let it cure for a little bit longer. We're gonna need some kind of tool to poke in the XPS foam. I'm using a paintbrush here, the back of the handle. You could use a skewer if you wanted. We're also gonna need a trusty glue gun, whatever kind you like. This one was a gift, the AdTech 2-temp. It was a gift from a friend of mine. Let's go ahead and get started, and we'll get this piece of terrain ready to prime and paint. This is where I'm going to put this terrain. I'm just going to take these jabby things and poke it in. But before that, I want to line up and roughly get an idea of where I want to poke my holes. And then I'm going to use this back of this brush to poke the holes for me, because I want the holes to be bigger than the nail that I'm using, and then I can put all this glue in there. Once your hot glue gun has gotten heated up, go ahead and put the glue everywhere you can. I also like to fill it up inside those holes and get it right on top of where I'm going to poke the nails in, because that's going to give it some extra. Okay. I think I have a drip over there I'm going to have to fix. So then take your terrain ornament piece with the nails and just stab right in those holes that you already made. So I repeat this process for each spot where I want an aquarium ornament to go. Poke the hole, put the hot glue on top, and then delicately stick the aquarium ornament into its location. After this is done, sometimes there's a little bit of extra hot glue to clean up. So I clean that up really carefully, and once that dries, you have a really solid piece of terrain. The hot glue does a really good job of attaching to both the aquarium ornament and the XPS foam. Now we're ready to prime and paint. The tools that we're going to need for the next section will include your terrain piece, a brush. I use a cheap paintbrush, some sort of container to put your sealant in, as well as your sealant. There are a lot of formulas and recipes out there for sealing your foam. I like to do something really simple. It's a combination of PVA, acrylic paint, and a little bit of water to get into things like the cracks and the crevices of the terrain piece. It's really affordable, and it does a double combo of sealing the piece, like the foam, to protect it from things like the rattle cans, the aerosol in the rattle cans, and it also primes the piece because I use a cheap black acrylic paint. So I'm not going to really dwell on how to prime the piece for this video. I'm just going to show the step of that I'm actually doing it. So there you go. Here's the terrain piece after it's been primed with the sealant. I also got the aquarium ornaments with the primer, the acrylic, and I did the stairs that I carved in the prior video. This box came from Aldi, by the way. If you have an Aldi in your city, I recommend going there not only for the cheap groceries, but I should say inexpensive groceries, but also for the free cardboard. The tools we're going to need for the next section to make the bricks are a X-Acto blade, something similar. I use this Fiskars rotor cutter. This is for quilting, but I use it for crafting. Don't tell my quilting teacher. I change out the blades. And then a piece of scrap XPS foam. This is the container I'm putting all my little bits in for storage sake. It's just something I picked up on clearance, one of the little clearance things. So I'm gonna use this one since my piece is drying. The brickwork, as you can see, the size and the scale of the stonework and brickwork. So all I did basically is match up with little pieces of XPS foam, little scraps. See how those fit into the aesthetic, and they can be turned sideways. Whoops. They can be turned sideways, all sorts of stuff. So these are the ones that I cut out that I was planning on using, but I accidentally forgot about it and primed the piece first. Here's how we make those little bits. You can make them, if you have a Proxxon cutter or a hot foam cutter, you can make them however you want. This, you can see, this is not even an even piece of foam. Cut this, make it even, straight edge, or as close to a straight edge as possible. And then that's a 1/4 inch. which is about the right size. So then take whatever tools you want, really. It doesn't matter. And just cut your bricks and your stonework. If it's too thick, you can also, because I'm using a thicker XPS foam, you can cut it in half if you want. Just be careful. Don't pay attention to how I do things, because I throw safety out the window sometimes. I'm not the safest. But there you go. Take your bit of XPS foam and just cut it to whatever sizes you want. Put that up there so you can see it match up. Okay, so what I'm going to do, the game plan is to take these little bricks and to scatter them on the base of the terrain to tell more of a story of the crumbling columns, etc. So make sure you put your safety back on that, and then I'm going to put this away so none of the kitties or myself get injured. Here's the terrain piece with the XPS foam bricks that I made, and I added some grit that I got from the model railroad shop. This is what I used for the small grit on the terrain piece from the model railroad store in Louisville. It works great. Louisville actually has a couple really cool model railroad shops. So I went and toured them one day and bought this at one of them, which is great for model making. And then I used, to attach all that, I used this really cheap dollar store glue, because it has, I find this dollar store glue has a great consistency. It's watery. It's great for making an icky paste, and then it seals the rock in too when it dries. So here, I'll turn everything upside down so you can see how everything just kind of stays in place. So my next step is I'm going to go ahead and prime this again and then paint it, and it should be good to go. And here we go. Here's a little tour of the primed ruins. I think it's easier to see the detail with the matte finish instead of the shiny glossy finish. There's the brickwork we just did with the ballast material from the train shop. It looks great. This Rust-Oleum flat gray primer, which will be my base coat for the stonework. Rattle, rattle, rattle can. Rattle, rattle, rattle can. After spraying on the rattle can primer, the Rust-Oleum primer, I painted several of the bricks with 2 different values of gray. Then I added a wash, a dark wash, which is 50% water and 50% black paint. And then I did some highlights on everything. I may go over this one more time, but I'm pretty pleased with the look of it, and was really glad to pull this off. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something, and have a great one.